Good morning, all you cool cats and kittens. Can we just say, like, fuck Carol Baskin? Can we start off with that? Because I think that's, like, the world agreement right now. Like, we all agree on that. Like, she's a pile of shit. Okay, good. Good. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. That's it. No, I'm kidding. So, I haven't been on here in a long time, and I haven't updated in a long time. And I haven't been in my CF group updating like I have through this whole pandemic. And there's a reason, and I'm going to get into that. But I wanted to do my blog and kind of update you guys on how I'm doing. We're on day 20 over here of being locked down. And let me start by saying, and I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit because it's really in detail. I don't live in a bubble. I've never lived in a bubble my entire life, even having CF. And there's some CF patients that walk on eggshells and live in a bubble. And I'm not one of them. But, you know, I pretty much had, like, my doctor is the president of the CF Foundation. And he's part of my team at Hopkins. And he's the reason I switched to the adult clinic. Like, I had a really hard time switching from peds to adult. And, you know, that man has been my godsend as far as doctors are concerned my entire adult life. And, you know, when he sends out a mass email pretty much saying, please stay home, please. You know what I mean? I'm going to listen. And I have, a lot of mixed feelings on, the coronavirus and, all of this stuff about needing to build immunity and needing to be exposed to the real world. And, because I don't live in a bubble and, there's the regular flu and the swine flu and all these other things that go around all the time, and this is probably just going to turn into another one of those regular things. It's just a different strain. So, I just have a lot of feelings on that. It's just a whole different topic for another day, maybe after all of this stuff calms down, because I just don't have the energy to tackle the people whose feathers I'm going to ruffle by saying things like that. I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying it's not serious. I'm not saying any of that, because it is. And, but I just have different feelings on how to handle things like that, just because I don't live in a bubble. You know what I mean? And I have a feeling that it's been around since November and December, and a lot of people who were really sick back then, whose flu tests came back negative, probably had it. That's my opinion on that. And I will, highlight the word opinion, okay? But, so, I've been locked down. I flew back from Colorado on, sorry, my hair is like doing its own thing this morning. I flew back from Colorado on, was it Monday the 16th? It's the 16th, I think, of March. So, and then the next day, shit hit the fan on the way back, okay? Like, everything was going to hell in a handbasket on the way back. There were starting to be stay-at-home orders, and there was starting to be people freaking out, and airports, stores were closing down, and, like, restaurants were closing down. Like, I flew through Detroit as a layover, and everything was shut down. Like, it was dead-ass balls quiet there. And I think Denver would have been the same way, except for they closed the ski resorts down, and I think everybody changed their flight to come home the same day I did. And left their trip early, because so Denver was a little, slammed. But by the time I hit Detroit, everything was, like, quiet. BWI was quiet, when I got home and all of that stuff. So shit hit the fan that day, and then, so David and I decided to go and get supplies for the next 4 to 12 weeks, maybe. So, we got enough food to last through then, even perishable stuff, like you can freeze eggs, you can freeze a couple gallons of milk, you can do all of that. We pretty much spent March bill money to make sure that we don't have to leave the house. And if, and if it becomes necessary in a few weeks, we're only on day 20. So if it becomes, and we're still good, like I still got, I think 2 or 3 gallons of milk in the freezer. I have plenty of eggs. I had plenty of eggs before, but we go through a lot of eggs because of, David cooks a lot, I cook a lot, we bake a lot, so we go through some eggs. And, I have a friend who has lots of chickens, because we don't have our chickens yet. And, she has more eggs than she knew what to do with. And I actually had her, I have a sunroom, obviously I'm in it right now. I had her come over, I didn't have contact with her, I didn't even see her. She left them in the sunroom for me. I came out with gloves. I wiped the cartons down with Lysol. and I brought them in my house. You know what I mean? So that's literally, I didn't even have any human contact. But anyway, so she dropped eggs off for me. So, you know, that's literally the only thing we've done outside of the house. And I don't really count that as outside of the house. But anyway, basically we haven't needed to go to the store. So we decided to get supplies. I have never in my life wiped down groceries with Lysol when they've come in my house, but my husband insisted on it, so that's what I did. Just wash your hands, people. Anyway, so we stocked up and we're on day 20. And I was like, oh, you know, at the beginning I was like, oh, I'm gonna spring clean, we can start the garden, we can do all of these things. And then I was like 4 days in and I haven't seen my daughter. She's pretty much here 24/7 other than sleeping here. She's at my parents', and there's a whole unique living situation behind that. When David and I moved up from the city here, she was already at my parents' because, you know, that's where we put her, because we were in the city and various other reasons. And, you know, we decided not to move her again because she's been through a lot. So anyway, that's just a whole other story, but whatever. Most of you know it. Anyway, so I haven't seen her in 20 days other than like a couple FaceTimes just because there's no cell service at my parents'. And I don't even count like being on the phone with her, because I text her and stuff like that. And, it takes forever to go through her phone because, you know, my parents have no cell service, but whatever. So when I do talk to her, you know, it's not like I haven't talked to her, but I haven't seen her physically in person. It's different than on the phone. It's not the same, okay? So by the time I hit like day 4, I've never been away from her like that. Other than, like, if I was on a trip, that doesn't count. You know what I mean? It fucked me up. Like, period. I've been in the shittiest mental funk ever since. I think I laid in bed for like 3 days after that. When I hit day 4, like from day 4 to day 7, I just laid in bed and did nothing except for get up and like pee and maybe eat, if that. I'm not even sure at this point. And by the time day 7 hit, I was like, you know what, I have to get up. I have to do something, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna spring clean. I'm gonna do all these things, and I spring clean my entire downstairs, and it's a wreck again because I have dogs and we've been gardening. But anyway, I'll get there. And it's just really difficult to be away from her. And, you know, our cheer season is over, and, you know, I've been dealing with frustrations with trying to get her homeschooling, and she doesn't have, you know, my parents, there's no internet company that runs through there. And I've said this 10,000 times to people, and they just don't listen. Oh, you know, Comcast is whatever. There's no internet service over there. There's barely even cell service, period. Okay. So I've been fighting with the school about how to get her schoolwork and, you know, how I'm going to help her and all of this stuff. And it's been super frustrating. And, you know, there was a problem with her English grade, and I was fighting with her English teacher about that. And I got the principal involved, and that's finally fixed. But they haven't got, the work packets for the students who don't have internet have not come yet. So, I don't even see the fucking point of it at this point. You know what I mean? Like, the school year should just be over. This is just turning into a giant nightmare. But anyway, so I haven't seen her in 20 days, and it's been rough. So I've been trying to do things. I've been purposeful about getting out of bed. I've been purposeful about trying to do things. And I said I was going to be working on content for my page and my blog and stuff like that. And I have here and there. I've been, you know, writing my thoughts down and working on various topics. I have a list of topics already. I've had a list of topics for a while, and life has just been crazy. And, you know, when you have CF and you're a mom and you're a wife and you work and all of these things, and there's other various life issues that were going on before this virus, you know, it's hard to be consistent when you have a disease that's unpredictable, that you never know how you're going to feel from one day to the next. You don't know what else life is going to throw at you. My family comes first. My husband comes first. My daughter comes first. You know, all of that, they come first. So if, you know, my mom needs something or my dad needs something, you know, my dad's fighting cancer right now. If my sister needs something, you know, if my brother wants to hang out, all of these things come first, you know. So it's really hard to get on a consistent pattern. I've tried to do like once a month or once every couple weeks, and it's just been rough. So I'm trying to get on I'm trying to get a bunch of content done so I can actually be ahead of the game when I get back on my regular schedule, and then, you know, be more consistent with it, and, you know, take the time as soon as I post a topic, start working on the next one. You know what I mean? Or if I have a cushion of topics, then I can still, you know, keep going down the line. So I'm trying to do that to keep myself busy. I have a wedding that I'm still planning, you know, even though I'm technically not working right now. Like, I'm still planning a wedding that's supposed to happen in October. I'm going to work on some of that today. I did spring clean my entire downstairs, like I said, but it's messed up again because David and I started seeds for the garden. I've been outside building my, you know, bean poles and my cucumber trellis and my mini greenhouse that I acquired and from a friend before all of this happened. And I've been just trying to do stuff to keep myself busy. I really need to finish spring cleaning. Like, I need to get my upstairs done. I need to clean my downstairs again because we have dogs and we've, you know, all the seedlings are inside. So, you know, we've done a lot of transplanting and, you know, we're basically playing with the dirt indoors right now because we, you know, and everybody's like, why don't you just do it outside? Well, you know, we could still get hit with a blizzard at the end of April, and I ain't trying to kill all my plants that I worked so hard to grow already. So they're not going outside just yet. So I'm trying to keep them alive inside right now. With a shitty ass grow light until I can order a better grow light because I want to end up growing indoors all year long. But anyway, so as far as that's what I've been doing. So I'm just trying to, like, today and yesterday were the first day that I've kind of pretty much felt like myself about 90% of the way mentally again, if that makes sense. So I'm slowly coming out of my funk. It's just becoming acceptance at this point. That I will see my daughter at some point, hopefully, you know, by summer, maybe. If you know me and you know me well, you know, you should probably be inherently shocked that I haven't cracked and just said, fuck it, at this point, and went over to my parents, you know what I mean? But my husband is very adamant about keeping me in this house, and it's so, you know, that's why it's important for me to keep myself busy. So I don't crack and I don't say fuck it and just, you know, go. Because I don't live in a bubble, and I've never lived in a bubble, and I don't tend on living in a bubble, and living in a bubble is actually hurting us more than it's helping us. But that's that's a whole different topic for a different day. After all of this is settled down and the dust is settled, and I feel like having the mental energy to deal with the feathers that I will ruffle by saying that. But anyway, it's called building immunity, people. And I even posted on Facebook that I was going to talk about that. And then I decided, and I was talking to David about it, and he was like, you just don't have the energy for that conversation right now. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I should just leave that alone right now, because I will wake the stupid up if I like, they will just crawl out of the woodwork, and I will have to, like, argue with people, and then it just won't end well. So I gave up on that one. But anyway, later down the line, we will talk about it. But anyway, but as far as health is concerned, I'm good. The Trikafta has been great. I still haven't coughed. You know, I get a little, like, normal every now and then, but that's, like, 4 days in between. You know what I mean? I'm not junky in my lungs. Like, there's just nothing there. It's been fantastic. I can breathe. Like, my dog has a bad habit of sleeping on my head at night, my Boston, and she kicks me off my pillow. And, you know, that was really bad for me when, like, before Trikafta, because I couldn't breathe or shit. And then, like, now I'm waking up on, like, one pillow in the morning, and she stole my other pillow, and I'm like, oh, I can breathe. That's great. I didn't wake up. Awesome. So that's great. It's actually helping me sleep better, because my body's not fighting to breathe, and my body's not working as hard to breathe. And it's just been great. I don't know what day I'm on right now. I lost count. I started Trikafta December 18th, and when all of this shit hit the fan, like, I just lost count on what day I'm on. David and I missed trash day Friday because we didn't even realize it was Friday. Like, I don't even know what day of the week it is anymore. I think it's Monday today, right? I think. Hopefully. Maybe. Yeah. Okay. Good talk. But anyway. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on. So as far as health is concerned, I feel fantastic. Like, I could probably go do, you know, cartwheels down the yard and be totally fine. I've been back and forth from the garden to the house so many times walking, because I was doing stuff outside. I'll probably be out there today doing some stuff. And it's just been, like, I'm not out of breath. I'm not winded or anything like that. I got all of my medicines refilled with my, before, when we came home, and then they just got refilled again at the end of March. So that's been good. There was no trouble with that yet. I don't know if there's any CF patients who have had trouble, and if they've had trouble, I need to maybe figure out a way to help them or whatever. I had my doctor's appointment for my, oh, that's the other thing. I know I'm hitting like 15 minutes right now, but this is a long update because I haven't, I needed to vent, A, and B, I just haven't been on here a lot to update you guys. So I've been having GI issues, so I have not got the weight benefit out of Trikafta. There's a lot of CF patients, actually most of them, have gained weight on Trikafta. Some of them 5, 10 pounds, some of them 15, 20 pounds, some of them even more. I have not been that lucky, and trust me, I could use like 15, 20 pounds and it would be great. Preferably in like my thighs and my ass and possibly my tits if I'm lucky. I always said I can gain 20 pounds if it goes all in the right spot, you know what I mean? And that's just because Trikafta is making things come back online because it's correcting, it's not a cure. Let me preface that. It's not a cure, but it's correcting a lot of the problems because it's correcting the gene that causes CF, and it's, fixing the my brain's not working, sorry. Anyway, it helps, it's correcting the protein. Anyway, I'll have to like get on and explain it in explicit detail one day when my brain comes back online and we're out of quarantine, because right now it's not firing on all cylinders, okay? Because normally I have no problem explaining this kind of stuff. I've always been good at explaining this stuff, and it's like just spit firing at this point. Like it needs a new spark plug in there, you know what I mean? So anyway, things are coming back online. Like I've had to lower my enzymes because my pancreas is working better to digest my food. And, but having the gut issues I do have with CF, I've had them before Trikafta, and it's just continuing, okay? So your food already doesn't digest properly with having CF. It's why you need enzymes, okay? Your body doesn't absorb things properly, so your gut doesn't work right. You have, you can get blockages, you can get backed up, various other things. If you don't take your enzymes, you end up with, diarrhea and curled up in a ball, feeling like somebody just gutted you with a knife, okay? So I have distal intestinal obstructive syndrome, DIOS, whatever you want to call it, okay? However you want to say it. And I've had blockages, none that have ever required surgery. And, but they're always in the same spot, okay? Always, like, literally, it's the same spot, period. But back in 2017, I had a blockage right below my stomach. If most of you have been around for a long time, you remember it sent me out 911. There was a whole issue. I got sent to Harbor instead of Hopkins, that whole story, okay? So, and if I backtrack my gut symptoms that have progressively gotten worse these last couple months, it started from that because I lost 10 pounds because I was in the hospital for 3 to 4 days. They cleaned out my system. They weren't feeding me. It was a whole mess, okay? I lost 10 pounds flat out. In like 3 days, I lost 10 pounds. And that's how fast a CF patient can lose weight, okay? If we don't eat right, if we have an issue, if we're sick, whatever, we can just drop weight like nothing, okay? And we're already malnourished, most of us, as it is, because of CF, so it doesn't help. And I've had appetite issues ever since. I've had, I've had appetite issues. I've been on a roller coaster my entire life, but they have gotten worse. And, you always get, sometimes it's called CF belly. You get bloating and you're uncomfortable with CF sometimes because, your body just doesn't process things right. But ever since then, they've gotten, if I go back and I truly think about it, they've gotten worse since then. In the last 4 or 5 months, it's just amplified, okay? And this is before Trikafta. And I've been overly full and not eating for hours at a time. Like, I'll eat a couple bites of something and I'll feel full for an entire day. Or if I do manage to get a whole meal in, it'll make me so sick that I puke, okay, from being overly full. And they thought, I Googled my symptoms, and nobody should ever Google anything, but I'm just Googled to see the list of problems that cause this. The symptoms that I'm having were beyond my normal CF, if that makes sense, okay? So I have a list of symptoms already, but they're beyond what should be my norm, okay, my baseline. And so I thought I maybe had gastroparesis, where my stomach wasn't emptying correctly. So I got that study done, and it came back negative. My problem I have with that is that they fed me egg whites and some toast. CF patients eat high-fat, high-calorie, heavy meals, okay? So, honestly, I think if you're going to, and, you know, I'm not a doctor, obviously, and they gave me some water. I feel like if you're going to do a study like gastroparesis, and they, you know, they say don't eat for hours, you know, whatever, blah, blah. I feel like if you're going to do a study like that, they should give you the meal based on what you normally eat. So your stomach, your body, I don't know. Anyway, whatever. I'm not even going to get into that right now because maybe I'm wrong, but whatever. I feel like you should eat a normal meal that you would eat to see if your stomach's emptying right, instead of like some egg whites and a fucking piece of toast, which is like nothing. Okay? But whatever. So it came back negative. And I know there's such thing as intermediate gastroparesis. I don't know how they test for that, but whatever. So it came back negative, and I had my GI appointment through telehealth the other day. It was like the end of March, 31st or something like that. So I talked to him. It was complicated because his end wasn't working right and he couldn't always hear me. So it's very difficult. And it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, and again, my brain's not firing on all cylinders. So he thinks, based on what I was telling him, he thinks that it's just I'm not backing up to the point to activate my DIOS to get a blockage, but I'm just constantly backed up because I flushed my system in February after CF clinic, and like completely flushed it out, gone, like go lightly, gone, flushed my system, and I was fine for a couple weeks, and then it just started, you know, slowly happening again. So he thinks that my system is just, you know, constantly backing up and not properly flushing right. And I'm like, okay, so CF patients who have these problems are on a Miralax regimen. And I am normally, but I don't need it all the time. But he wanted me to increase it to 2 to 3 capfuls a day, which is over the regular dosage for it. But it's harmless, and it does, you know, it doesn't hurt you if you're a CF patient. I don't even think it hurts you if you're a non-CF patient. But I'm not a doctor, so whatever. Whatever he said is fine. So I did that, and it was too much. My intestines were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, ooh, that's too much. So I'm backing it off to once a day, 1 cap full once a day, to see if that regulates it. Because I was doing like once a week, because that's that's per my CF doctors, you know, that's what I needed. So we'll see. I did not do a capful or anything yesterday just because my intestines were like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? What's happening right now? Don't do that, okay? So, like, you know, when, you know, if you're a CF patient, you know your body, and you're like, no, that's a bad idea. Stop, you know, warning. So I didn't do anything yesterday, so I'll do some today, just because I had heavy meals yesterday. My appetite's been good. I've been hungry when I get up in the morning, especially after my tube feeds. This is my biggest thing with my tube feeds is, you know, they get done probably anywhere between 12 and 2 in the morning, depending on how early I start and if I fall asleep or not. I have magically learned that if I fall asleep, I turn my pump off in my sleep when it beeps. I don't hear it. I don't know. It's my subconscious. It's like, oh, it's going off. Don't wake up. Off. And I wake up and it's off and I'm still hooked up. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess I turned it off in my sleep. Okay, good. It used to wake me up all the time, which sucked because it interrupts your sleep schedule. But I've mastered the art of subconsciously turning it off in the middle of the night. When it goes off, I fall asleep. But anyway, that was the biggest thing. It's like I would do that, and I should absolutely be hungry in the morning, and I wasn't. Or I would try to eat a lunch, and I would eat a couple bites, and it would fill me up, and I would be bloated, overly full, miserable, nauseous, horrible. It would just make me low energy. You know, I'm already having low energy because I'm not eating enough, and then I have low energy because, you know, being overly full and nauseous makes you feel sluggish and gross. So hopefully this corrects the problem, and I have to log it for a couple weeks on how much I took, what happened with my gut, how I feel, if I'm eating right, and if I've gained any weight, and if, you know, I have any issues, and then email him through Hopkins My Chart and let him know how that went, and then we go from there. I did step on the scale. Let's say I was like 98 pounds the other week. Now, this is normal for me. Okay, so it's like 98 pounds. I'm up to like 103. But again, something could go wrong and I could go back down to 98. So if I go up to 103 and I'm steady there and I stay there for a while, I know that I gained those 4 pounds and that I'm holding, okay? So that's good. I'm hoping I can stay there. I've been weighing myself every day, butt-ass naked, in the bathroom before I get in the shower. I know you're supposed to weigh yourself like first thing in the morning, but I don't have that kind of energy in the morning, and I don't normally shower in the morning, so I'm weighing myself the same time every day when I take a shower, and it's consistent. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. So hopefully, if I stay at like that 103 mark, I know I gained those 2, 3, 5 pounds. Okay, and that's like huge for me, especially for the last couple years. Letting the dogs out. Okay, I'll let him out. So, sorry, Dave opened the door and put the dogs out. So yeah, that's what's been going on. I know this is a really long update, and I hope you got through it and stuck with me. But I'm alive. I'm doing good. I promise I'm working on some content, and I promise to kind of hopefully be back on a good mental schedule, and hopefully we can all get through this and get back to our normal lives. Yeah. Signing off for now. I'm gonna try to get more consistent with my updates so you guys know. I should just log the I should just do a daily log of the or at least a weekly log of the pandemic and be like, day whatever, I'm alive. So if you follow me on my personal Facebook, I've been logging it's like a journal. I'm using it as a journal to vent with the outside world because, I worked on the garden. Dana, I call it the hostage situation. My sister-in-law said that, so now I'm kind of stuck. So it's day 20 of the hostage situation. Or if I'm having a bad day, it's day 20 on planet bullshit. Okay? So that's what I'm calling it right now. It's either planet bullshit, depending on what kind of day I'm having, or the hostage situation. If I say the hostage situation, it's a relatively good day. If I say planet bullshit, something's obviously gone wrong. Okay? That's how you can gauge what kind of a day I'm having. I'm getting the ASPCA face from the dogs. So, alright guys, I'm going to get off here. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'll see you for the next update.